We're going to do our church anthem, and then we're going to proceed. Got a few things we want to discuss, and then go into our lesson. I am the seed that grows and advances the kingdom for soul winning. This word, bread of life, that I received today, it's not only for me, but to be shared with others, that they may grow in Christ as well as myself, for the purpose of successful living. Thank you. You may be seated. Want to welcome you in. Thank you. We're at the Greenwood campus. I was just looking at a couple things. I was asked, this is the book, Basic Financial Steps, that a lot of people have asked about. And so they said, well, you don't ever say anything about it on your broadcast, but you can go to www.houseofreconciliation.org and go to the online bookstore and get it there. You can go to Reginald Campbell Books and purchase it there. It is ideal for anyone that is in college, any teenager, any adult, young adult. It's got every age group from birth until to senior citizen. So get the book. I think it's $15. It's definitely something that will change and inspire your life. And then you can come back and share with me your testimony. I'm starting to do the book national and international, so don't hesitate. That is Basic Financial Steps that teach you how to make your money work for you. That's just one of the books. We have another book coming out called Random Thoughts. When we were doing the anthem and it was talking about share the word with others, I'd received some of the numbers from my social media, and I was a little, I'm not going to say hurt or down or whatever, but I want those that are in the Greenwood, the Spartanburg, the Charlotte, the Anderson area, the Lawrence area, and the Clinton area to like, share, and post. What we're trying to do before spring is get the word out. There wasn't enough traction in Calhoun Falls, so if you're in Calhoun Falls and you like the broadcast, please don't hesitate to like, share, and post. I called Brother Ray while I was in a media meeting. He's up in Ohio, and having gone to school and studied there, I said, Ray, I don't have not 1% of people that watch the broadcast from the great state of Ohio. And I said, you're in Ohio and you say you're watching. So I gave Brother Ray, who was our first virtual campus member, I gave him that assignment to like, share, and post. And I asked you to do the same. And the whole purpose is to get people back to coming into in-service gatherings. I was talking with someone off camera, and they were saying that many of the churches have been financially able to weather the storm of the pandemic, and that's fine to be financially okay or sound or take care of some things. But what good is a building when there's no people? And so we're encouraging everyone. We still practice social distancing. We still have temperature gauges. We still have masks. That's not an issue. Please come. We still have all of the things that are required by the CDC, and even though they're lightening up some things, but don't hesitate. Let's get back together before Easter. So I thank you, Brother Ray, for what you're going to do up in Ohio. I was surprised at some of the top countries that we have: Nigeria, as well as Jamaica, Kenya, Liberty, South Africa, Antigua, Ghana, Haiti, and Norway. So those that are in Norway were the lowest numbers. But here's the thing: if we're reaching all the way in Norway, please like, share, and post, and invite someone to watch the broadcast. What we want to talk about this evening is Proverbs 25 and 28 in the New Living Translation. We were in Proverbs, I believe, 18:21. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. The Good News Translation said it this way: what you say can preserve life or destroy it. So you must understand the consequences of your words. Here is where I want to take us as we go into the month of March. It's Proverbs 25 and 28 in the New Living Translation. It basically says this: a person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. So if we have the slide, people don't know their true power Well, I like to change that a little bit. People don't know how much influence other people have on them. What you hear has nothing to do with what you believe. What you hear will take over what you believe if it is repeated enough. So, Proverbs 25:28, a person without self-control. And this self-control is not so much what you do, it's how you control your space. And many times, a person who becomes a garbage disposal, and that's not a good saying, but it's true. Everything everybody say, there are some people that are programmed to believe it. This slide says, the people don't know their true power. The only reason people can continue to do and say what they want to say is because you give them a platform. You give them a place to deposit these things. Number one, misinformation. Number two, misdirection. If an individual were to completely focus, what is my assignment today? What am I supposed to accomplish? And what am I supposed to sow? What am I supposed to maintain? And what am I supposed to advance in? Is it a call? Is it scouting for a new job, a new company? Here's what happens. When we allow people to continue, next slide, when we allow people to continue to give us misdirection and misinformation, it not only trashes our mind, it weakens our spirit. And it's like a spiritual immune system. The more garbage you hear, the less faith and resistance you will have. You don't get up every day. Now, this is going to be a little tough to solve everyone else's problems. Sons, daughters, friends, grandchildren. You don't get up every day. We only have so much mind. We only have so much space. And some of us are still running after grown people like we did when they were 2 and 3 years old. Weakened walls. How the walls became weak. It's because we stand around and we allow people to determine our perception of ourselves. There are people who have literally talked people out of what God had designated for them to do. And here's the caveat. We think God's going to make us do His will. We think God's going to force us to be good. God gave every human being the power of free will. I was saying to the media team, we were having a discussion in the back, and I said, many times the perception of people is, oh Lord, thank you for this, Lord. Oh, okay, I'm busy, okay. I've got to work on Sunday, but oh Lord, thank you for the strength. But here's the point. We ask God to allow us, and this is coming from a pastoral seat right now, to help us and to bless us, and then we run off with the money. We don't put a dime in church. But we go around, because what we're doing literally is we're lying to ourselves. So we take that one day that's supposed to be a day of worship, and we go do us, and we claim that we're believers in Christ. So we're the kind of believers that show up when we want to show up, pay when we want to pay, do what we want to do, but we expect a blessing from a full-time God. And I just want to know, when we get to heaven, I'll put myself in it, are we going to be able to look God in the face and tell God, I did your will? No, you didn't do his will, you did your will. Because I think it's Deuteronomy 10 and 12. You don't have to look it up, just write it down. It's an old scripture. It says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord thou God require of thee. God has a requirement. He says in the New Testament, forsake not yourself to assemble yourself. So here's the thing. A person without self-control. See, sometimes self-control is not always resisting others. Sometimes self-control is resisting the impulse within ourselves. And here are the 4 things that continue to make the walls weak. The illusions, the false narratives that we have. The imagination. Next slide. The imagination, and you can take me out for a moment. The imagination that we turn around and think everybody else is responsible for me. People look at the ethnicity of their skin and say to themselves, well, they don't expect for me to have nothing. But here's the problem. You don't expect anything for yourself. It's easy to bail out. It's easy to blame race. It's easy to blame our past. It's easy to point the finger. It's easy to make the excuse. And this particular one says some people want it to happen. And they really do. They want it to happen real bad. You know, if like one man told me, if you just give me $10,000, I know I could do something. Here's what I said to him. Here's my problem. Everything you have received for the last 65 years, you've had no discipline over. And you think my giving you a buck sum of money will change the direction of your path. What did you do with the other money that you received? See, some people don't want to face the broken person and the broken mirror and the things they need to do. The best job you can do on anybody is do it on yourself. Don't look at your spouse and say what he or she ought to do. What are you bringing to the table? What's your excitement? What's your enthusiasm at the table? So, there's some people want it to happen. And so he wants, and the thing that kind of got me to this point, and I'll try to remember them and give them to you, is he said, as soon as he get this one thing behind him, and I said to him, so if it goes away today at 3 o'clock, what changes about your behavior? This is a behavior that has perpetuated itself in your life for over 25 to 35 years. It doesn't go away in an instant. It doesn't go away in a minute. It doesn't go away because all of a sudden you're out of this relationship. You're out of this pain. You're out of this job. You're in a new place with an old you. See, you can be in the promised land, but the skins of the wilderness have not shed it. As we're going into spring, if you'll notice sometime with your pets, cats and dogs and horses and mules, they're starting to shed their winter coat. People want something new without going through the transition of leaving what was. So the first one says some people want it to happen. Then there are some people that live in hope. The second one, some people wish. I wish they would look out for me. I wish they would call me. I wish I would get that job. Here's the problem. Are you prepared? Are you prepared with the right credentials? Are they current? Are they relevant? And I say this to leaders. Where's the time? Where's the space? Where's the communication? And where's the consistency? If people would measure themselves based on that, do you have the time? And sometimes it's not do you have the time, it's will you make it a priority to have the time. So I said to him, no matter what anyone gives you, you said what you need was a home. If you need a home, why would you finally get clear and leave other people with the mess and you go buy a car? If we don't gather ourselves and learn how to prioritize our life, people can be busy but not productive. Oh, mama, I'm just busy. I got this. I got daddy. I'm just busy. I'm over here. How productive are you? And here's the thing I try to share with people. Try to share with a couple of friends, but they don't listen. You can't be good at everything, and you can't be involved in everything. See, somehow we have this thing that we got 25 different things, and I got 25 different businesses. You ain't making no money. You're not Warren Buffett. I can't think of the guy's name that owned Amazon. Jeff something, Bezos or something. I don't mean to mess up his name, but these people are trillionaires. You barely $60,000 a year. Let me make it plain. You have a lot of irons in the fire, but none of them are hot. And so it says some people wish it would happen. And so when you're wishing, here's what the adversary brings to you. And I said this to us often, and I actually have it written. We will deal with it. Is it God? Is it you? Or is it the adversary? See, many times we try to blame people and say he or she or they did this to me. Many times anybody done nothing to you. Is you never express your true desire. And most desires first are very selfish and self-centered. Me first, and me first. Me never lasts. So you're a person that has wishful thinking. And here is where the walls get weak with these four things that are perpetual in the lives of people. The first one is illusion, a false narrative. That is the beginning of weakening the walls. The second one is something we've heard before, is the imagination. Once the seed is planted, I think is Matthew 12:45, that when one wicked evil spirit gets in, it goes and gets seven other. So one plays in the illusion. Well, there are few that plays in the form of illusions. Then it creates imagination. Then there's another set that causes a person to have hallucinations. So these are how the walls get weak. And it says a person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. So here's what happens. How can you build anything if you're always affected by everything that goes on? How can you build anything or sustain anything or maintain anything or advance anything if you're always caught up on what he said, she said, and what somebody else is doing and how you feel? Sometimes you have to move on from how you feel. Anybody ever told themselves, I got to get up from here? It says, Matthew 12:45, is that what it is? It says, then goeth he and taketh with himself seven other spirits more wicked than himself. See, once the illusion gets in, the spirit goes and gets some other spirits, and they enter in and dwell. They just don't come visit, they build a house. So this is why people fall into the woulda, coulda, shoulda. This is how people fall into potential. Man, they got great potential. Oh, they are smart. Oh, yeah, they're graduated. Yes, here's the problem, but they are not disciplined. And because they're blood and they're family, when do you make enough money to carry everybody? Then you wonder why God's not doing nothing for you. And God's looking at you and said, every time I give you something, you give it away. Now, I know some of y'all probably saying, was I here last week? I wasn't here last week. Y'all got pastor tonight, don't you? Like, ooh, I think the skin off my elbow on that one. You know. I wish he'd go off again. You know, it was kind of easy to come to church and be gone real quick. It says, and enter and dwell therein, and the last state. See, what was you should be coming through. So then you can prepare to go where you need to be. To where your gifts and your talents are respected by your peers. Many people are still hanging around people who don't have vision. They scared. I don't get that one, but they scared. They frightened. Why would God give you a gift and you're afraid to use it? That's why some people want it to happen. Some people wish it would happen. And last but not least, others make it happen. This is the group as we're moving into the spring. What you have to do going forward is stop the lion's roar. Some need to roar back, and some need to move to another village. Because there are people and there are things that will continue to impede your progress. Now notice this on this slide. Every one of them have the same opportunity of basketball. But how the enemy plays in their mind. Can we go back to the other slide? Your perception is your real reality. When you don't see yourself as productive, when you think another person or a particular group are better than you, you are infected with low self-esteem, and that's something you had to accept in order for it to take root. You have to accept failure. You know why you can't get over it? It's because you put your feelings in it. Yeah, you put your feelings in it. You didn't go in it with your intellect and intelligence. You didn't go in it with your cognitive ability to function and gather information and dissect it. You went in with everything that has ever happened to you in your life. You went in to get this one moment to satisfy everything. And that was the dumbest thing you could have done. I'm sorry, I'm back this Tuesday. Y'all might get lucky next Tuesday, but I'm back this Tuesday. You put everything in that one thing, and that can't be everything. And the biggest problem is the reason it don't work is because you keep trying to work it from your feelings. You don't go and gather around people. Listen, there's not much to create. So you can go and get around people and learn their process. And here's what I cannot get people to understand. If it's working for them, why wouldn't it work for you? The problem is you want to change the recipe. As great a baker as you are, and you don't want to share your recipe with anybody, you know what would happen if they got it? They want to what? Change the ingredients and the recipe. See, God has a path for you. But many of us keep changing the development course that God has us on. And this is why our walls are weakened. How the walls get weakened: illusion, imagination, hallucination, and last but not least, right here, hypothetical thinking, your perception of yourself. That's what happens. How you see yourself. So here's what happens. The first thing I'm going to give you is understand this. Be careful what you hear. Many times weak walls are developed by what a person hears. There are some people that are just trash can sharers. They never have anything positive to say. You have to be careful what you allow people to say in your space. I wrote this from a pastoral perspective here. God's not okay with us taking his time to do us. God's not okay with that. Be careful who you listen to. If we are hearing the wrong thing, it will weaken our walls from the inside. And that's how water gets in. That's how confusion gets in. If we are hearing, you have power over what you listen to. And most of what people listen to is what someone else is saying, and they're giving their opinion. There's no facts. No one qualifies what a person is saying. We just say, I heard that so-and-so there. I heard that he wasn't going to go there. I heard that she was going to do. I heard what I heard. Have you ever validated what you're hearing? Or you just a recipient and like pollen just flying over to the next place and pollinating it by saying, you know, they said so-and-so. They said we going to war. They said the president said this. They said this. Have you qualified? Shut your big lips. Shut your mouth. People come to me all the time. Man, did you hear about this and what the president and what the vice president? I said, listen, I don't do politics. Because ain't none of them going to listen to me. So why am I going to listen? And I started to say to them that y'all talked this much about 4 years ago. Y'all never called me before when nobody said anything to me. Hello, somebody. Hello, I know that hit right there. Boom, 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 boom. There go the dynamite, just boom. That was a load right there, wasn't it? Just boom. Don't call me over your house for tea and coffee now and want to talk about the presidency. You didn't call me for the last 4 years. Hello? So I'm not about to be drugged into a conversation. And then I said to some people, I said, why is it always you talk about this group of people, but you don't talk about the other groups of people? See, what am I saying? Stop letting people make you a target, and you stop being a target by getting involved in your future and not being in love with this moment. You don't have to act the way everybody act. I pulled up at the red light. I just talked to the guy that was talking about getting him a Q45 and leaning all in the back seat. And this young person was all in the back seat. I said, well, where's the front seat? Because I'm old. You drive up like this. They just all lean back in the car. And the car wasn't even clean. And I'm saying to myself, what would you do with success? Success begins with strong walls, because then success does not make you change from your destiny and your goals. Success doesn't ruin you. See, some people are too quick to want to show off and show up and flash in front of people. Rich people do whatever. It's the wealthy people. They're not impressed with your shoes and your clothes and your hair and what color it is today. They're not impressed with your car and your nails and your music. They're not impressed. And you just somewhere, I'm about that life. Just somewhere the whole car, 4 cars shaking because of you. And you just going down the street with your music all loud. I'm talking about everybody. And I feel sorry for kids. They will not be able to hear, and they will go to school cursing. 3 years old, going to school. 4 years old, going to school. 5, 6 years old. And you want to blame something. Listen, look at the environment you're putting them in. I don't care what kid they are. I've seen it. And I'm like, what is positive about degrading music? I like to know. You believe me, you can chime in, you can come meet me. What's positive? How far has it gotten you? And that's why I did an article earlier on what's your future? What is your future? Oh, I ain't got, man, I'm just living in the day, player. You better look at some of these people walking up and down the street holding these signs. If we are hearing the wrong thing, it will weaken our walls. I'm going to close with this. Be careful who you listen to. Everybody with a microphone is not telling the truth. In all phases of your life, there are people that'll tell you, well, the job's closing, or they're going to move, they're going to change, they're going to cancel out this whole department. People tell you that, and you somewhere word and praying, and they done sign another contract for 8 years. But because of what you hear, it will impede your progress. Here we'll say it again. Remember, misinformation, misdirection is of the abundance in the times that we live in. Closing scripture for you, Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thy own understanding. I'll say it to you again, Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord. Get before God, get into his presence, and ask God for the purpose and the direction and to help guide your life. And ask God to help you close the doors of the noise that are around you. Remember this, you're God's people. You have to choose to let him lead. God bless you. I'll see you soon.